Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome to Late Night Leos. This is Morgan from Thorgecko, and I have Destiny from Desert Snow Gecko. We're celebrating the 5th year anniversary. The show has been off the air for 3.5 years, and we thought we'd bring it back and see what we can make of it. Destiny,
Hello.
you wanna tell everybody about yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name's Destiny. I run Desert Snow Gecko. I started doing the geckos. I've been on and off for about 10 years. I did it way back in the day when all they had were normals and everyone was arguing about whether or not a high yellow was actually a morph. And then I took a little break to do the family thing, and now I'm back doing leopard geckos and African fat tails full swing. So I'm actually really excited. I had listened to Late Night Leos years ago and thought that it was an excellent show with lots of great information, and I'm really excited to be part of its Rebirth coming back on air. I think it's a really super important program. I think that they had a lot of really important guests that were really pivotal in getting leopard geckos and other geckos out there. It's just very informative, and I'm just so glad that it's in the later time categories, so we can be a little bit more realistic about information that we provide, and that I guess I just am excited because I know that a lot of the audience is going to be of the older persuasion. So, Morgan, thanks so much for asking me to be a part of the Rebirth show.
Yeah, no problem. I'm trying to gear this more towards the adult breeders and the more serious breeders because, like you said, the original show had like the foundation breeders of the whole reptile community. I mean, it wasn't just leopard geckos. It was, snake breeders and all the Rhacodactylus and, everybody. We had Wally Kern. Well, I say we, but now it's we. Wally Kern, Ron Tremper, Albie Scholl and Paul Allen, just incredible people that talked about their projects, where they got it and what they did with it and where they were going to go with it. And that's what I want to continue with that, with this show. The whole Rebirth thing is all about that. So
I definitely think it's an amazing idea.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just really excited about it because I guess it's just me, but I seriously can talk about leopard geckos and African fat tails and, just any sort of husbandry of any sort of reptile all day long and not even care. I don't even miss a beat. And I just know a lot of other people aren't as intense like that. It's a pet thing, and that's super cool because, reptiles make awesome pets, but I really like the fact that we can get more in-depth into genetics and all sorts of other topics that some of the other shows that are out there just don't really get too in-depth with. Yeah,
exactly. That was like my whole thing. I mean, I saw my first pair of leopard geckos. My godbrother had them like in the mid-'90s, and it was, love at first sight. I got to have those, and, I didn't really have my situation, being a kid, I couldn't have something like that. So I had them in high school, like maybe 2003, but I really didn't get into it until I had a 1.5 in 2005, and now it's just exploded from there, and not even having albinos anymore. Now I've got like everything that you can imagine. So yeah,
I know, and you and I actually go back almost that far. Did you realize that? We've known each other, I think, for about 3 years now.
Yeah, I know. I think I've known Ron the longest because I had the worst cell phone that you could imagine in high school. So I saw Gecko forums, I saw Late Night Leos, but I had an NV3 that, it wouldn't do anything but look at the website in a really, really crappy format. So I mean, the closest I got to leopard geckos was emailing Ron, and him and I just, from there took off, and he's one guy that, he just replies instantly to whatever I email him. So I was grateful for that, because, I mean, even just not even buying anything from such a big breeder, he was a whole lot of help, and he was really, really good at pushing this show, doing what you can do for the hobby, and as long as you're happy, then do what you do that makes you happy and other people happy, and that's what this whole show is about the community and what I can give back, so.
I agree with you 100% on Ron. He has always, whenever I've messaged him or sent him an email, he has always replied fairly quickly, faster than many other breeders that I've ever spoken to, and he's got to be like the busiest man on the face of the earth, but he has always taken time to answer my questions, and when I found typos in his book, he was very gracious about me, telling him, hey, I think this might be wrong, and I mean, he could have taken it such a different way, but he didn't. He was like, oh, you know what, you're right, let's get that fixed. And he's such a humble, helpful, awesome dude.
Yeah, so what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about some news?
What you got for me news-wise?
Well, I've got one really important thing. I mean, most of the hobbyist breeders and the pet owners won't really care about it, but for people that are really interested in leopard geckos, on World Animal Day, Saturday, October 5th, Pakistan, they kind of like reaffirmed their position on not exporting the leopard geckos, and that's something that we've really been looking at since they quit exporting them. God, I don't know when that was. Ron would know, in the 90s or something. 80s, 90s, I don't know. But, so apparently they say that people are still capturing them and exporting them to other countries and then getting them over here. So, I mean, I hear rumors about stuff like that, but I didn't know that it was such a market that, it's like the fat tails, but it's legal to do that in Africa. So I guess I was just clueless to that whole thing. That was kind of a shock to me that everybody's getting wild caughts except for me. So.
Well, if you think about it, everyone has been breeding the same stock that has been in the United States for such a long time. And, I mean, there are some people that have been pulling in new blood and getting it from like the European shows at Ham and stuff like that, which is great. I mean, I have some wild bloodlines that I do myself, and, I mean, it's super helpful because you just can't, I mean, line breeding is awesome, but you can't do it forever without expecting weird things to happen eventually. So this fresh blood is definitely a kick in the pants to a lot of people's projects. And, I mean, it's just, when people have them for sale, they disappear. They go so fast. So I'm not surprised that they're still collecting wild samples, and then through whatever channels they need to go through to get them over here, be it legal or not, I'm sure it's still a thriving market. And
that was my thing is, how do you go from being an illegal capture to being a legal import,
It's like money laundering. You just wash them geckos through Italy or something. I don't know.
It's like that guy that's got all those blank marriage certificates,
Pretty much. Just write a new one for each one that comes through. It works.
Yeah.
But I think that the American breeders that are here that have the wild-caught bloodlines can really be helpful to a lot of the people who are doing line bred projects or just pretty much any project. One generation outcross into a wild blood type gives you such a stronger animal in your next two generations. So I really think that making sure that we have those pure subs around is a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me a little bit more about what you plan to do with your show. I've seen that you've been finding guests to come on and that you're probably booked for a while now, so give me some highlights.
Yeah, we are probably booked for the next 2 years, but I want to shorten that up and shove in some middle of the week guests, because I know everybody's oh, schedule me for January or February, and I can't do that, That would be 4 guests a day all through January and February. So, yeah, I guess where the show is going is going to be just all of the people that are really, serious about breeding, and they're serious about education and all about the species itself, and not just leopard geckos. We're going to have Wally Kern from Supreme Gecko. He's going to talk about micro geckos and, the crested geckos and all of that stuff. And, we're going to have other people, scientists, thinking outside of the box, not just animal people, but animal conservation people and, fish and game and their takes on that. And they can touch on the whole capture of the wild-caught stuff as well, because, us as breeders, we don't really know what goes on with that, because from what I hear is they just, they go in and they massively collect a whole colony, and that can be really devastating to the environment. So.
Yeah, that happens a lot around here, actually, too, with the banded geckos.
Yeah.
So there is Fish and Game has set a catch limit or a bag limit, but the bag limit is, I think, 20 animals a day per person, because they're so plentiful here.
That's ridiculous. It's 3 in California.
Well, you need to come visit me.
I know. I'll have to do that, and maybe I'll get a California and a Arizona license. That way I can come home with 23.
You'll need to make sure you bring some running shoes, because they're fast little critters.
Yeah.
They run like there's no tomorrow.
So why don't you tell me, have you seen any interesting stuff in the news? Any animals catch your eye?
We were talking about Ron earlier, and he has these awesome new live webcam sessions that he's doing. And I saw him on Facebook, and I checked one out, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, that's isn't it the reptile cam on Ustream?
I think so. I just found the link. He had posted it on Facebook with his personal account, and I just clicked on it and I watched. I think it was a really pretty ermine wander around in a cup, but I don't have any that look like that, so it was pretty exciting for me.
Yeah, you have to put in an order with him.
You put an order in first.
I just did recently. Well, last summer. I guess it wasn't that recent. Maybe I need to do another one.
I'm getting really excited for this upcoming season, though. I've heard a lot of people have already started dropping their males, and a couple of people I know have already started getting eggs for 2014.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a bunch of ovulating females right now, too.
That's really exciting. So let's talk about incubators, because that's my big worry right now. I'm not happy with my incubation system for last season. Seeing that I live in Arizona.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Can we touch on environmental control first in the gecko room? Since it's winter and all of that, we should probably talk about the F word, house fires and all of that. So recently I saw Reptile Basics do a post, and they posted about how they get a bunch of complaints and calls about and reports about house fires at this time of the year, and they had interesting thing that I never even thought of, because I used to have carpeted floors and, insulation. But now that I'm in a house where I have hardwood in the Gecko room, they talked about how the temperature in the room gets cold, so your racks are working twice as fast. Because your room temperature might be 50 or 60 degrees, so the rack's trying to get, another 20, 30, 40 degrees above that. So that's a big cause of the house fires when they short out. And it doesn't matter what kind of heat tape you have. If your racks are going to pop, then they're just going to pop. So something that I recently did, and the last 2 or 3 days it's worked out great, is I got one of those ceramic oscillating room heater things. It's got a digital thermostat on it, and you just set it to 70, and I mean, it works great. And I noticed that my racks the ambient temperature at the front of the tubs is 70, and the back is 92 to 95, and it's just perfect. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, because that's another, just like with the whole incubator thing, is if your room is at a nice ambient temperature, then same with your incubators, they're not going to be working so hard.
That's
so I guess
really
now
true. And I have one of those little ceramic heat emitters in my room as well. Mine doesn't oscillate, however, so you probably got the better model, but it does help a lot. But also during this particular time of year, it can be beneficial if you're going to cool to take advantage of the temperatures and go ahead and reduce the heat of your thermostat. So that way it's not having to work so hard. If you don't want to go get a heater to heat the room, then you can just drop it back a little bit. And typically they think that 70 degrees would be, or a little bit under that, is a good temperature to have the geckos at, so that they can actually get something out of the cooling process.
Yes.
So there's 2 ways to do it. You can either heat your room and keep your heat tape at the regular temperature if you don't want to cool, or drop your temperatures in the whole entire room as a whole. Yeah. But yeah, that's my big problem every season, is that since I live in Arizona and it gets really hot here, really early in the year, I can't afford to keep my house too frosty with the AC. So my house temperature during the day, like from noon to about 5 p.m. every day, is around 82 to 85 degrees. And so when I have my incubator running, that just it causes this little bump where apparently I'm making more males than I had planned on. So I want to try and find an incubator that can actually keep everything at a stable temperature no matter what my room temperature is.
Yeah, I've been looking into that, because what I'm switching to now is I got one of those big 4x4 by 7 foot tall cooler fridges.
Oh, you're just going to get in there and keep yourself toasty?
I'm too cool for a mini fridge, so I had to go with the commercial size. I got it for free. It was like the perfect deal. I got it for free. They didn't know what was wrong with it. It turned out it was just like this plug-in starter down at the bottom, like a solenoid for a car. So I've got this thing, and it'll cool. So my plan is to put it in my garage, and it's got like 5 shelves in it. And what you can do is you can put all of your like I use the Hovabator, so you can put them in that. And so no matter what temperature the outside is, like in your garage or in your room, you can control the temperature inside of that cooler. And so you can either hook it up with the heat tape or have it to where it does the cooling and have it just shut off when it gets to, whatever you want, get it down to 70 or whatever. So that way you have it's like a controlled environment, and you've got the incubators inside of that's inside of your room. So you don't have to worry so much about air transfer and heat spikes and all of that. So that was, had that same problem that you've got, but I've got it the other way around where my garage gets like 35 degrees and
well,
then
that's
it just
actually a
goes
really super
to the
good
house.
idea to get one of those giant ones. And then just put, because I started out with hoverbaiters like ages and ages and ages ago, and I always had really good clutches that were female when they were supposed to be, and they were male when they were supposed to be. But I was in a different environment. I was living in Nebraska at the time, or Idaho, not necessarily in Arizona where it's super duper hot. And I also know another trick for those giant ones. A lot of people say it's very difficult to regulate the temperature in those. And it can be, but if you fill up 2-liter bottles or just regular size water bottles, depending on the size of the unit, and fill the bottom with water bottles, the water in those bottles helps to maintain a constant temperature.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, in the Exoterras, it says to do that, so I don't know why people wouldn't think that in a huge one not to do the same thing. But maybe that's just me.
Common sense ain't so common anymore, maybe?
I read the directions, so...
So tell me, you know what? We should probably have an incubation expert on the show.
Yeah, I think so. We should. Maybe we already are going to. I'm not going to give away any secrets, but
that would be awesome because I'm totally all over that show because that would be really cool. But
yeah,
I was wondering a little bit about your sponsorship situation.
Okay, so how it's going right, obviously we're just doing a 30-minute, startup show to make sure everything works just right. But for December, I am going to be funding it, and then if there's enough interest in the show, we'll start accepting sponsors in January. And however many sponsors we get and whatever price or whatever, however that turns out, if they want to donate animals, for callers that want to answer questions or however you want to do it, we'll go that way. And any of the money will go back into the show and into the community. Maybe we'll get some gear and we'll give it away for free on the show or something like that. But that's kind of where the sponsor thing is right now. It's still up in the air.
Yeah, because contrary to popular belief, if you want to run a radio station on Blog Talk Radio, it is not free.
No, it is not.
And so I definitely appreciate you taking this particular adventure on financially and everything. And I really definitely think that you should get quite a bit of interest, and I think that there should be plenty of people who would be willing to sponsor or donate things to help this particular show be successful. So if there are people who are interested in possibly sponsoring or helping out or donating, how should they contact you, Morgan?
They can contact me through the Late Night Leo's Facebook page, and that is the only way they can contact me right now. Or they can go to www.thorgecko.org and just fill out the contact form on the homepage and, say, hey, I want to be a sponsor on Late Night Leo's. And we're not biased on who's going to be on. It can be anybody. Timmy down the street, if he really likes leopard geckos and he wants his name on the show and wants to say, hey, I've got leopard geckos and I love them, then he can be a sponsor, or Sally, if she's got a mated pair and she really likes them, she can be a sponsor, it's for the people with passion.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, there are people out there who are even collectors who have never once put one leopard gecko with another leopard gecko with the intent of making eggs to sell offspring. They're just collectors, and collectors do so much for a great deal of the reptile community. It's not always the breeders that make everything go.
Yeah. I know it says for breeders, by breeders, but it's really, for people with the passion,
Definitely. And I think that you've got the passion for sure, because it was a major undertaking for Morgan to get this show up and running. And I, for one, am really grateful. And I've had several people reach out to me, like, this past couple weeks, and today especially, that are very excited about this show. So I know that this is going to do all the things that you want to do and probably more.
Yeah, I was really, really surprised at how much support I've been getting for the show. I mean, the opposition hasn't been very much, 3 people maybe, but everyone else is like, they either love it or they hate it, and everybody seems to love it and they want it back, so I'm bringing Late Night Leos back, because that's what the community wants.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I don't know about you, but when I drive around in the car, there are about 6 pre-programmed radio stations on my car's stereo, and if I don't like what's on one, I'll listen to the others. But there's like number 1 and number 2, they're my favorite. So one of the biggest things that I thought people were kind of mumbling and grumbling about is that there's already too many reptile shows. But I guess it's just me and the fact that I could just talk reptiles all day long that I thought it was a good idea.
Well, there's not too many. There's too many dead ones. I mean, if everyone brought them back, if there were enough active ones that were like doing stuff for the community, then there would never be enough. You can never have too many people doing too much good, That doesn't make sense to me.
I agree with that statement 100%.
Yeah, so I mean, for anybody that's listening, listen to all the radio shows. Listen to the radio shows about baking. If you like it, do it. You're not going to find anything bad. If there was something bad on Blog Talk, it would be taken off. So, all the shows have good.
Yep. Anything that is interesting to you is something that you should pursue. I mean, yeah. I like art. I'm not going to be Picasso by any stretch of the imagination, but I like to watch Bob Ross on TV, and I like to watch how those do-it-yourself making jewelry stuff, so doesn't hurt me. I need to learn stuff.
Yeah, I'm a collector of hobbies myself.
It's because we're busy people with ADD.
Yeah, you can never be too busy, so buy a radio show.
I know, right? Then you have a whole bunch of other stuff to think about.
Yeah. If you don't have enough stress, buy a radio show. If you've got if you've got a half an hour on your Friday night that you don't know what you're going to be doing, buy a radio show.
I know. That's exactly what you should do. Every one of you that's listening to me. But I am really excited about this new show, and I just want to say happy rehatch day to Late Night Leos, because in my house, when something hatches out, is always really exciting, even if it's not exactly like a 6-gene animal. But I think this is probably going to be a 6-gene show. So.
Yeah, well, I hope so, but hopefully it was bred clean.
We don't want to have any tainted messes, do we?
Yes.
So it looks like we're approaching the last 2 minutes of this particular show. So
we're at 30 seconds actually.
Oh, are we? Well, go ahead and tell people again when the next show is going to be on so everyone can tune in.
Oh, God. The next show is going to be... Let me get my calendar. Hang on, everybody. The next... talk about being prepared. Saturday, December 7th at 8 p.m., God willing, will be the next show. So this has been Morgan with Thorgecko and Destiny with Desert Snow, and thank you, everybody, for listening. And,
make sure you go like the Facebook page for Late Night Leos, people.
Yes, yes. And I guess that's it.
Yep, so let's give us a big hip hip hooray for the future. Hip hip hooray!
Yay! All right.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, and
Thank
I look
you
forward
for
to your
coming.
future shows.
All right, I'll
Bye,
talk to you later,
everybody.
Destiny. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Morgan.